Hello and welcome to the session on dealing with JSON files in Python. In order to deal with JSON files, you will use the JSON library. Notice the similarities between Python and JSON. In Python, we can define a dictionary as shown with key name and value XR01, key IP, the value of the IP address 10.0.0.1, etc. And notice the syntax for that particular data structure. In JSON, the syntax is roughly the same. You can define in JSON an object, which is what is within the curly brackets. In Python, we call it a dictionary. In JSON, we call it an object. So again, there are name-value pairs. The name and values are shown as being much the same. Looking at the far right, you can see that one of the name-value pairs, actually the value, is a list in the Python area, and what we will call that in JSON is an array, but it is the same idea. It's a sequence of items. In order to translate from JSON to Python, you will use the JSON.loads function, providing the JSON string, which will then get converted into Python data structure format. In order to convert in the opposite direction, you will use JSON.dumps, and this will convert your Python data into JSON format. Here's an example of using the JSON library. In order to convert from JSON into Python, we import JSON first of all, then we open our file like we normally do. This happens to be a file of JSON data, and we read all of that data into a variable that we're going to call JData. This is going to be a very long string containing all of the JSON data. We will then use the JSON library to call the function loads, passing in the attribute JData that we just read from the file. The JSON.loads function is going to translate that JSON data into Python data structures, and the data structures that we see here are going to be put into the variable called devlist. So at this point in time, devlist contains Python data structures, which will include things such as dictionaries, lists, etc. When done, you will close the file. In order to convert to JSON, again, you will import the JSON library. If you have a Python data structure called devlist, then what you will do first is you will perform the conversion function calling JSON.dumps and passing in your Python data structure. The result is going to be a string of JSON data in the variable JData. Once you have JData, you can open your file and write it out, and the end result is that you have a file filled with JSON data.